joining in. This is a video that's going to go into my ink application process. I talk about it in every video that I utilize the ink application process, where we're talking about kind of layered, transitioning dye-based inks usually, but I probably use it with whatever medium I'm going with to achieve kind of a lighting scheme in a scene. And like I said, I do this on this process that I'm going to show you. I probably do in 95% of all of the instructional videos to this point. I've been playing around and changing things up a lot with the use of the white pigment ink dominant scenes lately, but for the most part, this is what's happening in all the videos. So if you can kind of get this process mastered, it makes everything really easy. And it's not just for dye-based inks on glossy cardstock or matte cardstock. You can do it on any different types of medium, okay, to achieve those lighting schemes. Okay, now what I'm talking about here is, let's get some different examples here. In all of my scenes, or most of them, what you see are these transitioning colors, okay? And like right in this area right in here, it just goes from dark to light. We have a cloud right here, but you see all these little streaks, kind of a darkness, kind of reaching across, you know, in a given panel. All right, you see it right up here. And right here, it's just more of a, you don't see these streaks in here because I had this kind of more central kind of circular cloud type of thing, so you just have this one glow working in here, okay? Now in this one right here, there's basically two glows, okay? I have it right up here and right down here. The only thing that keeps it from being like one kind of central glow like that is that streak in the middle. And then I do have this video called Simple Lighting Schemes. It's just basically taking a singular type of glow type of thing and then just dividing it up with some sort of a darker I don't know, separator, I guess. Okay, so let's talk about some more recent ones that you've seen if you watch this channel. This one's using the hybrid inks right here, but you can still see the same type of patterning that's going on with something like this. I know it looks different, but what you get is this is just done in greens right here. This one's done in yellows, oranges, reds, browns. But it's this right here. Do you see where these kind of these separating types of bands, you know, are throughout this one? This one's in a much narrower area, but it's still the same type of thing going on as this one right here, okay? And there you have it. But here's another one right here using those hybrids on, this is a matte cardstock right here, but here you have all these different bands going in both sky and water like that. Okay, so this is a good kind of a fundamental kind of video that talks about the exercise of ink applications, okay? I'm going to do it on glossy cardstock right here, but you can do it on the matte. I've been doing it a lot with the hybrid inks lately and really enjoying that whole process. But first of all, let's just talk about this kind of overall glow, okay? Now, I'm not going to do this on this whole sheet right here, but let's just do it in the corner, and this is what you would do for every corner right here, okay? But usually when I'm starting on, I always talk about this base layer of ink, okay? Now this is Summer Sky, a Memento, and it's very, very light. Now here's the thing that most people don't do when they first start this process off. We're all used to kind of stamping out compositions or whatever, or cards, and a lot of designs are outlines. So we stamp out these outline designs, and we're used to just coloring them in. And when you give, you know, something, you know, a certain color, we just stop there because it's not going to get any darker with that. But this one's a little bit different. What you're doing is you're coloring, but you're also providing kind of a foundation of, oh, I don't know, it would be kind of like floating ink in a way. You know, what we're doing is we're kind of super saturating the page, the pulp of the paper, not just coloring the top of it, okay? So what I'm doing is I'm getting a lot more ink established there because I'm kind of trying to build up, you know, in a way, it's kind of like a little puddle of ink or something like that, okay? All right, so let's just talk about this quickly here. I have this ink going into about right here, all right? But right here, it's really quite saturated because that's the area where I've applied the ink first and then kind of spread it around. Now, okay, let's go to this medium blue so you can see it a lot easier. I usually like to start off with a light tone of ink, but you don't have to. I mean, if you didn't have the summer sky, you can go with, you know, whatever your lightest color is, all right? And I do have this video, those two videos before this one, that are just talking about monochromatics. So let's say all you had was a dark navy blue. You can do this, but you know, it's just easier to build it through the lighter tones. I do have that other exercise, though, in my previous two videos that talks about kind of mastery of your darker tones, okay? So now, see, this one right here, this medium blue, really blends in very, very smoothly over the top of that light color, okay? Because the pulp of the paper is already kind of saturated with ink. See how that goes on there? And that other lighter one went into about right here. But what I'm also doing is I'm kind of tapering this off, okay? I'm not going like this and then stopping right there, okay? It's kind of more of a sweeping motion like this. And I'll do it with a paper towel too, so you can kind of get, you know, some real super basic stuff using household items, okay? Danube blue. All right. Now what we do is with each incrementally darker color, hopefully you can take it in increments or something like that if you have a nice range of blues. Now see, that's that blue right there. And do you see how that's a little bit darker than right here? Let's try to get it even darker. At this point in time, it starts to kind of wipe off, you know. It's hard to apply that in that saturation because it's so wet, but look how easy it is to spread around. But you see this kind of transitioning tonal value scale right there. And that's kind of going with something like this, you know, this is what's happening right here. Now, this is where I like to use colors like Marvy. Marvies are a little bit thinner in viscosity. I could let this sit and just wait for it to dry a little bit, and I could apply more of, say, this darker color, and it will stick to that. But right now it's really slippery, so this is your Marvy darker blue. Okay, now there's still a lot of this Memento in this sponge right here because I keep using the same one like this, but see how I can get a little bit darker using the Marvies right away. I don't want it completely dry because it makes these darker ones easier to apply like this, but I don't want it super wet either. So for me, you know, just waiting there for, you know, while I was blabbing on for like 10 seconds, this dried sufficiently to the point where I can get it, you know, darker and darker because more ink is applying on there because the moisture content of the previous tones are kind of drying, you know, as we sit here. They're also kind of soaking into the paper, but do you see where this is happening right here? Is that a kind of nice tonal transition? Doesn't matter what kind of color scheme you're working with. You could have went yellows, oranges, reds for a sunset or something like that. Lightest color went to about right here. The next color went to about right here. The darkest color went to about right here. And this is what I would be doing on something like this around the entire perimeter. Let's just go into black here just so you can see, you know, how dark we can get to, okay? And a lot of times in my scenes, I do like to go to black like that, okay? It looks more like a gray. Now it's like a blue-gray because, again, it's a mixture of kind of what's going on. So you kind of have to tap it like this in order for that color to remain or to stick sometimes, because if I streak across there, I'm kind of wiping it off. So you just kind of get the feel of it, but this is your tonal transition type of concept right here. See that right there? Okay, now let's talk about these bands of colors, okay? I was talking about the monochromatics. This is from a previous lesson where I just only used black, but I was talking about getting all the different value ranges by using kind of drier applications of those existing inks. So you have grays, really light grays and whatnot, but it's the same type of thing going on here. It's this transitioning type of thing right here. Let's talk about these bands now, because those bands are really important. You can create a lot of drama with them, you know, if you go vertical with them. If you go horizontal with them, it's the same type of thing that I'm working in, like water and sky, okay? Let's just take a look at some of these. Here's some of the hybrid inks and the moonlight duos, but here's this type of thing right here. Look at this, where I've gone with this kind of smoother kind of perimeter, but then I've extended a streak in here, you know, using some of those darker tones. Right here, it's kind of subtle, you know, you can kind of see these kind of striations right throughout there, but you see that right there? And it's the same kind of streaks are working in land again. Here it is kind of coming in from the side like this. See how this gets a little bit darker right here? And it's a little bit darker right here. I kind of avoid going into the chapel because I don't want to just put a streak of color right through the front of that. I want it to stand out. But it's the same type of thing. I'm kind of building these streaks in here, and believe it or not, those are the same types of streaks that are like this. Okay, do you see where that I'm talking about right here? That streak of color right in here. This one's just brighter and kind of more dramatic. This one's very subtle and soft. Okay. It's the same exact type of motion. This one is right here where I kind of did this little S curve just to add kind of a different touch into the mix. Here's these streaks coming in here. I kind of went with that S curve type of thing like this, but here it is kind of going extreme. It's like all these different colors of red, and you know, here are these blue streaks in there. You can see where kind of the surface was really wet, so these black streaks in here, I was like wiping off some colors like that. Okay. Oh, this one right here is, you know, this kind of aurora borealis type of effect where we have these streaks coming up and down like that. But that's the exact type of streaks that are, you know, in my water like this. This one's on, you know, matte paper right here, but here are these streaks coming in like that. And it's kind of like that same type of thing like this. This one's just much, much brighter. You know, here's greens and reds and pinks and magentas in here, probably yellows, but this one's just kind of more of a subtle look. But here's those bands of streaking going across. Okay, let's get to it right here. I'm sure you get the point of that one. Let's achieve kind of this streaking type of thing. I'll put a few streaks across here, or I can just alter this one right here. Okay, we've already got this one started. Let's show you how to do these kind of transitioning bands of darkness, which are the things that describe the light of a scene, okay? In order to describe light, that, you know, this whole area could be light down here, but when you put these little streaks of color in here, it really kind of represents reflected light more so than just having this all white, you know? You have to have kind of some dark to have light within a scene, a representation of light. We're not working with actual light, like flashlights in the back of our scenes like this, or seeing it on a video screen. You know, when we're talking about white pieces of paper, we're talking about contrast, okay? Okay, so here's what this looks like here, all right? So I'm just taking that streak in like so, okay? Let's do it on a blank area over here too. And I'll show you how to kind of transition these. Okay, there's different ways to do this too. Oh, okay, this is the stylus tool that I'm working in. Let's do it with a paper towel, just so people see some types of technique videos a lot of times. And now there are some techniques that I'm sure that are specific to the actual applicator you're using, but let's just grab this. Everyone has paper towels or napkins or something like that, or a rag at home, right? Okay, so let's take this right here. Let me go on a new area right here, okay? Anytime you do kind of repetitive motions, stick with kind of a direction that's going to be nice and conducive for that mark in a nice ergonomic position, okay? So that being said, if my scene is like this and it's water, see how this is not comfortable, okay? Or going like this now, you know what I mean? Just switch it like this, and this is your natural motion, okay? But anyways, do you see how that tapers off? I'm not going like this and up, okay? The motion looks like this, okay? I'm going like, just like this, okay? I'm not absorbing like stress in my wrist here at all when I do this right here. And I'm kind of doing this with my arm too. You can't see my shoulder right here, but just keep it nice and comfortable, in other words. You know, we're talking about a lot of repetitive motion right here. And I'm not pressing hard on this either, so, you know, I'm not going to get like carpal tunnel if I did this, you know, 10,000 times, I don't think, you know. You shouldn't. Because everything's kind of ergonomic and sit in a nice position where, you know, you're not extended way over here and doing it like out here or something like that, unless you're doing it for a point to some sort of exercise or something like that. I don't know, but the paper towel works just fine. Okay, you can see it right here. See where these streaks are coming in? Like that? Okay, now here I'm going to show you the trick now, okay? When we move into our darker tones, okay, we don't want to just... See how that softness kind of transition? Look at how cloudy that looks. Doesn't that look great just as is with that one color? But we don't want to just have like our darkest of color like this now right up here. Otherwise it's going to be the solid dark line transitioning into just white. Okay, now that's what a lot of people do is begin with. And I'll show you how to make it more of a softer type of transition. Okay, let's move to that medium blue. I'll show you how to do it with both the sponge and the paper towel, okay? So see what I'm doing here is I'm kind of going in the center right here. Okay, it's hard to see now, but the lighter tone came out here, but the center one, but now when I'm coming in with this darker tone, I'm kind of keeping it more like that, okay? And then I just kind of taper it a little bit. I kind of move out like this a little bit, and then I come down a little bit. When I first ink this up, it's going to be at its wettest point, right? Okay, so I'm coming in here like that. See, I'm kind of staying down here a lot now. And I'm just going like this, and as I do that, it becomes drier and drier on here. And then I start kind of spreading it out just slightly, like that, okay? You really utilize the dry version of this, okay, of whatever ink you're using. And that's what this, you know, the previous two lessons on monochromatic dark tones were about, to give you a lot of mastery out of your application process, especially with the darker tones. The darker tones are often being applied over kind of a wetter piece of paper, so it's easier to spread those out. So, but sometimes we don't want them spread out so fully. Okay, so here's this one right here. Can you see that other blue that's already in there too? But see, this is too harsh, right? So I'm kind of going like this, and now it's getting drier on my paper towel, and I'm kind of going out from that original streak. Now I'm using the very dry one right here. Let's do this right here too. See that right there? Like this. I didn't even need to re-ink this. I've gone, I don't know, how many strokes? 20 with it. Okay, see that right there? So you have this nice soft transitioning value scale right within that own little tiny band. Let's go to the Danube blue. Okay, see that right there? It makes that center part even darker, right? Alright. Coming in like this. I'll just stay with the paper towel right now. I'm doing that because I just know people have this at home. Not everyone has the stylus tools and whatnot, or sponges. You can try a kitchen sponge with this, you know, anything like that works fine. This is just the same paper towel too. I don't think I've used another one during this video here. Let's go to the Marvy blue now, okay? Coming right in. See that center, it's hard to see the center stroke, but it's a very light version of it, because a lot of this ink is applying. at one time right here, okay? Now, if this is too glaringly light, you can always go back to your lightest tone and add more of the lighter tone in there. Sometimes people think, oh, that's too stark white, so they go in there with the darkest tone, right? And then they get this really super full contrast. No, go back to your lighter one and just apply more of that in there. Or if you want to come in with a tinge of warmth, you can do that. But there you have it, okay? So an easy thing right here on the side. And this could be done around the entire perimeter. But that's basically what you have right there. It's those streaks of different values, but it's the tapering off from the outside to the interior, okay? But within this area right here, you have it lighter, and it gets darker, and it gets darker because the darkest of applications, the darkest colors, okay? I'm making those a little bit more narrow, okay? Just in general. Now for something like these too, what I was talking about when I was doing these videos is you can kind of come in here and you can colorize these ones too. But just do it in that same kind of streaky motion. Retain your light areas so that you have a representation of, you know, maybe a light source and a reflected light or something like that. But that is that. I mean, I can even go, if I wanted to, I can make this color right here if I want to. This is all blue, yeah, and it's kind of this kind of color scheme right here. Let's just play around. Let's have some fun right here with this one. Let me switch off. Let's see if I have a. There's a yellow. And here's a green. Okay. I won't move through the full value scale or something like that to get that one. This one used a lot of a ton of ink, but just to show you, you can do like grass textures with blue too. You know, it just depends on kind of your ink process right here. But here's yellow right here. Okay. A lot of people love those kind of northern light aurora borealis scenes. Okay, see that right there? And what is that? That's that right there, right? Let's kind of go a little bit more. I'm not going to do this over the whole thing. I want this video to be short and concise. Not that they all ever are, but with all my blabbing on, but okay, let's see this right here. I'm just kind of expanding on this, kind of this column. But it's really fun stuff too, you know, just to do this type of look that's happening within these pieces. Yeah, you'd never know that these were the same colored blue as over here, right? They just look completely green. And my point about that is that, and when I recommend ink colors to people, let's say people don't have any dye-based inks at all. I've achieved, you know, a lot of green on here, or different greens, like darker greens, just by using these two colors over blue. So you can have a full range of blues, but just have like 2 greens or something like that. Let's put some green over this part right here. Let's see how dark of a green this can achieve right here, okay? So let's say I don't have like a turquoise or something like that. That looks like turquoise to me, right? And that's because I've just taken that, you know, couple different greens over the top of blue like that, so you can really maximize kind of your color schemes with this whole type of process right here. Just by mixing things, you know, you might even run into some redundancies because, you know, you already have a couple different colors that can mix to form another color within your, you know, your pad lineup or something like that. And that has to do with the layering. So it's something that a lot of people are kind of, you know, if they're used to just coloring one area, one color, okay, it's kind of a different mindset in terms of color builds and whatnot. And this is where this lesson, you know, here's that other kind of monochromatic lesson. It's about kind of maximizing all of your different color schemes, going from the deepest saturations all the way to white, and working, you know, being able to achieve the 5%, the 10%, 20, everything up to 100% of your existing pad hue and value, okay? But again, just playing around right here, you can see what kind of the overlapping does. But here again, here's this tapering of this color. It's darker in the center of this pillar, and then it kind of goes out when it moves towards the light, and it gets lighter in there, right? So that's what's going on with all these pieces. Not all the time, but kind of, you know, I mean, I might be doing some things like this, like of late, if you've been watching these videos lately. I've been doing with those hybridings, I've been kind of going more of a kind of this kind of more amorphic type of application of color, like this right here. But it is kind of the same in the way that I am trying to go from something that's darker out here to lighter in the middle. So when I hit it with those darker tones like this, okay, I might not take those little swirls in as far as I did with the darker color, the darker hue. Let's see this right here. Kind of working this out here. See how it transitions like this. It's darker out here and lighter in here. And that's how we've done, oh, seems like this one right here, okay? Instead of going with this kind of smooth application like this, I've been just doing it like this, and it kind of gives it a different look. This one's using some pigmentings in here and whatnot too, but I don't know, you know, these little bands of color. I mean, it's not really a band, it's kind of a chunk right here, but it transitions out. See how this kind of transitions out right here? It's darker right here, and it's lighter, and then lightest right here, okay? All right, so anyways, hope that comes in handy for you, this video right here, and just showing you, I mean, if you can get this type of thing down, okay, it will serve you very well if you try to follow along with, you know, most of these videos. Just kind of get the feel for that. Okay, now here's the troubleshooting part, okay? What a lot of people will do is they'll add, you know, a certain tone down, but then they'll get this. I mean, it's not wrong, but let's say, see, I'm kind of just staying right there, but it's just really solid. Let me see if I can even get it right here. Okay, it's this like solid band of darkness, and then it's white right here, instead of having kind of those transitioning values like that. See how I'm kind of doing that right here? So it goes from dark and then lighter, lighter, lightest as it gets towards that light area, okay? Now this is just on the matte side piece of the paper, so it's really kind of catching, but I mean, you can achieve that right here, like this, okay? Let me see if I can kind of create a transition, okay? So like that, so it's a bit more of a transition right here. I mean, let's try to get even lighter values out here, okay? So see, I'm utilizing the drier version of this, okay? A lot of people, when they do this, if they do one stroke and they can't see anything, it seems strange to them. They're not used to putting down multiple strokes to get a very light version of a certain color because it's very dry, okay? But, I mean, this isn't taking long. This took like a minute, and I'm done with like, I don't know, 20% of the card toning, okay? So it doesn't take long, but see, there's that color transition right there. And that's what you have right here. Again, this is on, you know, glossy cardstock where you can see the, you know, the streaks more definitively, but that's basically what you have kind of right in here in this area. See that? See how it kind of tapers off like that? Dark to light, wet to dry. And it's coming up from the bottom like that. Different color, but kind of this one coming up like that right there. See that? So anyway, again, if you have any questions, drop me a note in the comment section. If you like this video, I hope you like, share, and subscribe. if you haven't done this process before, it's fun. I'd recommend doing it if you don't have a sponge applicator. This worked absolutely fine. You know, you just get your fingers get kind of inky on the tips a little bit more, but definitely an economical applicator. Don't worry about it kind of fraying. It's fraying on me, you know, but I just kind of wad it up and whatnot. And it's not like I don't need this to last for, you know, 5 years or something like that. Although you can certainly use it again. Maybe you can use it again for your, you know, your green tones or whatever. But, you know, wad it up like that. See that right there? And it's kind of ready to go again. You just kind of ink it up like so. Okay, see that right there? Dark to light like that. Alright. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for tuning in.